Hi everyone, welcome. We're down here in my wormery preparing to check in on my VermiBag Mini. And the VermiBag Mini is a continuous flow-through system that's got a hatch on the bottom that you would normally use to harvest the finished stuff that's all the way down at the bottom. Something I've never even actually done before. But one day I will. One of these days. I promise I will. I have this assortment of yummy stuff for the wormies. I've got my collection of leaves too that I thought we would use to refresh the nice top coating of leaves that we left in here last time. All the leaves that are already in here could just get blended in as bedding. So today, 75 weeks old, this system. That's 525 days, and the feedings are definitely getting up there. This is going to be feeding number 42 that they're getting today. So 13 days have passed since the last feeding. I believe there was a 12-day interval between feedings last time we were in here. I don't think we saw much of leftovers last time either, so I think the stuff they got last time too was pretty fast composting stuff like melon and cucumber. I did watch the video really quickly from the last check-in, but I can't remember what else we gave them, so let's dig in. This is one of these pumpkin stems. Usually I'll try to collect up these sort of large, slow composting objects and include them together with the most recent feeding each time so that these sort of things can be in the line of fire as much as possible rather than them just being in random different places. So how this little guy ended up on the top surface, I don't know. So down the middle is where we would have fed. Perhaps before we set something up that we kind of put there in a somewhat deliberate way, perhaps we could just do a little rummaging around and then we'll get to the feeding. So here's that piece of cantaloupe I made reference to, and there's a good bit of the melon still on there. For almost 2 weeks, I'm a little surprised to find that there. I thought we'd be almost for sure finding only this thin, hard skin of the melon remaining. A lot of people might be thinking at this point, ooh, do we scale back the feeding because they're still working on what was given to them last time? Well, that's something I rarely do, and I don't really think I've seen enough yet to warrant that kind of a response. This is kind of what I was expecting to find, was cantaloupe rind free of all of the leftover yummy melon stuck to it. Oh my goodness. What else did we feed? Because there's something popular right here. I don't know what it is. We got ourselves a big time worm party happening. My. Should I feel bad subjecting them to this torturous exposure to the bright lights? I think they could withstand a few minutes of it. Sometimes what's even more fun than picking up a handful of worms is having them in your hands for a moment or two until they all get to the bottom. I can feel them all on the palm of my hand and my fingers because they're all right there now, exposing themselves. All right, here we've got some more leftovers. We've got a little collection of leftovers going on here and a few other nice juicy hot spots that seems to have a bunch of worm traffic in it. Very fun, very lively system. And, well, at first I was thinking we would do a little bit of tilling up of the system in general. Just kind of unearthing stuff around the perimeter just to see how it's doing as far as hanging on to its moisture. This bag has a tendency to let some of its moisture go out through the surface of the bag, so I do want to make sure those outer reaches of the system don't exceedingly dry out. But you know what? I think we should just get their feeding taken care of. 1, 2, 3 here. So I've got a variety of different paper towels, napkins, dry, wet. So these last two were a little bit wet. The rest of them I believe are dry. This is a paper towel. So this was some of the stuff that I wanted to make use of today in the feeding as the bedding. Sometimes you've just got a big collection of stuff that you'd like to begin doing away with, so rather than turning to your prepared bedding, you start giving the wormies other things that just need to be gone. All right. So we'll hang on to this coffee filter, and we'll set it up as our feeding zone indicator at the end. But before we backfill the feeding zone, in can come all these leftovers and slow composting objects. And now we've got ourselves a real hot spot here in the center. One thing we've been doing a lot lately, let's throw a little bit of this in there too. How does that sound? Oh, you know what? Before we cover up, I've also got my grit. How do you like that? Now, I've got my water bottle here too, you know, but if we don't need it, we won't use it. Let's just see how things look on these outer edges. Well, you know, my first reaction, just from touching the stuff that I pulled out of the hole right there, is that, you know what? If it's here, why not use it? And it is here, so I'm going to use it. So, along with tilling up the material to include some of this leafy matter down in it, we're just going to incorporate running the squirt bottle to help at the same time dampen the stuff that could possibly use a little jolt of moisture. And I think that will just further improve the chances of the material getting some worm traffic rather than it just sitting there idle due to it being inhospitable for worms to inhabit. When I had that wide shot right before we came in close with the camera, when you could actually see the bag, you might have noticed that the bag was sort of wrapped in some plastic, which I believe helps to a certain degree. But for some time now, I've had this much larger piece of plastic that I've been intending to use as replacement for what's wrapping this system now, as a plastic protective outer sheathing, so to speak. And I think if I were to put that on, then the system would definitely have an improved moisture retention capability. But for now, at least, we're a little bit better than what we had. And oh my, looks like we've destroyed our poor glove. I didn't even realize I had done that. So we don't even have to be careful or worry too much about cleaning this glove off, because it's going straight in the trash at this point. So back on, well, not back on, but on can go our feeding zone indicator coffee filter. This tells us where we last fed, makes it really easy to find our way back. And let's also give them some of this, since I've got my box of it just sitting here handy as well. So I think between that collection of lovely napkins, as well as the blending in of what we found here when we first arrived, all the old top covering leafy matter, I think we gave them a nice portion of bedding to enjoy and roam around in. And at the same time, we've also snuck in a good bit of moisture. So I've been running this wand pretty continuously, doing some utility-minded stuff, like trying to get these materials back down into the bin, and that just leaves less for me to have to deal with as far as getting stuff cleaned up and put away. So that's it for our check-in, everyone. How do you like that? I really like how the level's coming up here. Bulking up the system, doing our attempts at bulking up the system by being generous on the bedding. Seems like it's helping out a little bit. It's finally happening. So that's it for our check-in, everyone. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, as always, please don't forget to leave me a quick thumbs up before you go. That's always really appreciated. And if you haven't done so already, please also consider subscribing to the channel. That's very much appreciated as well. All right, everyone. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Bye now.